I think you ought to know. That Men's Radio. The place where men and women really speak. Oh man, what a show. It's Men's Radio. This crazy show is on 3 times a week. Now Russ and Phil are there to help with all your cares. We laugh, we cry, we talk like grown-ups do. But if you're sad and low, it won't cost you no dough. Men's Radio, that's the place for you. With Russ Kane and Phil Dave.
Yeah, spot the deliberate mistake with Russ Kane and
Phil Dave. Hello.
Oh, God. I thought you weren't well.
I'm not. I'm horrendous. I'm croaking like I work for one of those 0890 numbers, so it's not great.
What's going on with the dramatic scarf? What's happening, Phil?
Well, I thought I better wrap my throat up and keep it warm because it helps. So.
Does it?
Well, I'm still coughing a lot, so it doesn't completely help.
Oh, no, really? That's a shame, isn't it? Linda Dave, whom I was looking forward to seeing this evening, but no, Phil has to interfere. Phil has to get involved. Phil has to ruin a plan that's been in the diary for weeks. Sorry, Linda. I was looking forward to that cheese sandwich you'd prepared 3 days ago. And Robert Van Buren, hello, Russ and Phil. And let's dash across to where you don't need to be right now, Phil Dave, because we'll just finish you off. Morning, boys. Getting freezing here. That's Elizabeth Green in New York City, Manhattan, New York. So good. They named it. Who the hell knows? There we are. We've got a guest today. We don't normally have guests on. You look all right. You look a little peaky. Your colour's a bit off. Lucky we got a doctor.
Maybe that's the lighting. Actually, could you imagine there you go. That's what it's like without it.
It's dead. Right. Luckily, you know the cheese sandwich that your mother was making for me for dinner tonight, because it's been in the diary for weeks. Come over for Friday night dinner, cheese sandwich. No pickle, nothing, just cheese. She's eaten it for lunch. So at least it hasn't gone to waste.
It hasn't gone to waste.
No, it hasn't. Let's bring on a special guest, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, without further Edward ado, Dawn Harper.
Oh my. We are not worthy.
We are not. Great.
Exciting.
Oh, what a lovely introduction. Thank you both.
Well, no, you deserve it. Thank you so much for finding time for our little tiny show, which goes out all over the world. Right.
Aww.
So, yeah, it does too. It does. So, how may we be of assistance? He said.
You're asking a doctor that?
Well, first of all, look, as you're here, Dr. Harper, he's not well. Could you write him a sick note? Because otherwise, Rupert Murdoch will look at it and go. So,
can I just say, I've had enough chest infections in my life to know when I've got one, so it's fine. Thank you anyway. Sorry, Dr. Dawn. This is most certainly not the reason why you're here.
Cut across Dr. Harper and an expert opinion on your health. Fine, on your head be it. Right, Dawn, NHS bus. Want to hear all about it, please.
Okay, so this is NHS England have launched a cancer busting tour, which is part of their Help Us Help You campaign, which I'm sure a lot of people would have seen on the television and in the press and so on. So basically this bus, I love this concept. This bus is a double-decker bus, which has been NHS branded, and across the side of it is, I think, a really quite exciting message, in that what it says is, if that bus was full of 78 passengers who all had cancer, if we had made the cancer diagnosis early, 65 of those people would survive cancer.
Wow.
And so the whole point about the cancer busting tour is it's sort of got two angles, if you like. The first thing is to try and raise awareness of the kind of symptoms that we should be looking out for. And the second is to encourage people to come forward if they've got those symptoms, or they've got something in their body that doesn't feel right and they're worried about cancer, that they come forward and have those conversations with people like me, with their GP.
Right.
And I think the public have been really good through the pandemic at trying to manage things at home and so on. And we would still encourage people with minor self-limiting illnesses and so on to please use their pharmacist as the first port of call. But the kind of things that we want to see in general practice, and we want to see them quickly, are things like noticing blood in your wee or your poo.
Yep.
Maybe you might find a new lump somewhere when you're in the shower or getting dressed.
Yep.
Maybe you're just feeling inexplicably exhausted. You don't really know why, or you've got a pain that you don't know why. So if you sprained your ankle and you've got a painful ankle, the pharmacist is the right place to go. But if you've got a pain in your body that's persisting and you have no idea
a pain in
why,
your body. Sorry, I misunderstood
anyway.
that. Anyway, can I just say, but Dr. Don, seriously, there's one thing that you've mentioned that really sort of alarm bells ring in a very good way for me, and that you said about out of those, all of the passengers on that bus, was it 60, 65 of them you said
65,
would be 65 of them? Okay. For a layman, why is it that only when cancer is caught earlier does it make it more treatable? Just so that sort of people understand why that is such a big deal.
Okay, so if cancer is undetected, it has the opportunity to spread,
Right.
and when it spreads throughout the organ, the part of the body where it started. So if it's in the lungs, it might get bigger in the lungs, but then it might spread elsewhere. It might spread from one part of the body to the lungs, or from the lungs to the brain or the bones. And once it's disseminated, it is much more difficult to treat and much, much more difficult to cure. So the argument what we're saying now is that actually, if you come forward and see us early, mostly we're going to be able to reassure you that actually it's not cancer. It's much more likely to be something much less serious, and we can take your worry away. If you are unlucky and we do make a diagnosis of cancer, then it doesn't matter there isn't a single cancer in any part of the body that doesn't have a better prognosis if it's picked up in the really early stages,
Right.
where it's confined to a small part of that part of your body. So actually, so that's better for you because it means that we cure you. It's actually also better for the NHS because more simple treatments are cheaper and less time consuming. So this is a win-win, and we want to see those people with those sorts of symptoms. I know a lot of people don't want to bother us, or they might say that it's tricky to get an appointment, and I do appreciate, I know it can be. But I would say, certainly in my practice, for example, we have a policy that we ask our reception staff to ask people what the problem is. And I know some people feel a bit affronted by
it's
that.
kind of, I'm glad you raised that, because when you're standing there and there's like bulletproof perspex between you and, the gatekeeper, as I call them, of the surgery, and there's a billion other people and kids running around, they go, what's the thing? You really don't want to start saying, well, actually, I've got, blood in my poo. What? Sorry, what did you say? And you think, oh, God, this is just hideous. You don't
so
want
two
that.
things. I'm completely with you. Two things. Yes, we are aware that sometimes they're not the most private of places, are they? Doctors' waiting rooms. So there's two ways of doing this. You can email, you can phone, so that you're having a quiet conversation. People don't know who's on the end of the telephone. But equally, you can take a piece of paper in and literally just pop that through the desk. The important thing for you to know is that the reception staff are bound by the exact same rules of confidentiality as the clinical staff. So they're not being nosy, but they are trained to know that those sorts of symptoms are the ones that they need to get those patients in to see us. So they're on your side. It may not feel like that when everybody's under pressure, but they are trying to make the most appropriate and efficient journey through the surgery. So when they ask you, it's not because they're being nosy. They are not allowed to tell anybody any of your clinical details, but they will help you to get that appointment.
It's not them. I just want to move on to something else. It's not them. It's the fact that there's so many other people around. You think, oh, I really don't want to. It's not, I'm not embarrassed about, never have been talking about to the receptionist. That's their job. That's what they're trained to do. That's why they're there. Of course they are. It's like asking a ticket collector for a train ticket. That's what they're going to do.
Can I just ask really quickly, do you think on this very Do you think the narrative surrounding cancer is wrong in this country? I tell you why. It's because I still know loads of people who can't even say the word. They'll always call it the big C, or they're not well.
She's
You know what I
not
mean?
well.
Yeah.
And you go,
So
"Ooh."
loads of people who can't say the word still. I also think if you say with the greatest amount of respect to some of these amazing charities out there who do great work, we all know they do, but if you look at their TV adverts, they're quite scary, to a lot of
course they
people,
are.
because they're showing people that they're most sick, and they're saying that this is who your money is going to help. But then you also hear statistics like 1 in 2 of us will be affected by cancer in our lifetime. All of these things, this is part of a very big narrative surrounding cancer that frankly scares the hell out of people. Do you think we've got it wrong?
Well, I think that's what this cancer busting tour is partly about, actually, is it's about saying, you've just given that very powerful statistic, 1 in 2 of us are going to get cancer. Surely that means that we have to be talking openly about cancers. We have to be having that dialogue. We have to be making sure that people know they can come and ask for help. And I think this really powerful stat that if we pick you up early, we can cure over 80% of cancer patients. I did a little film yesterday. It is incredible. I did a little film yesterday with a guy called Dave, great guy. He had some bleeding from his back passage. He went to his GP quite promptly. Unfortunately, he was, because that is most likely to be something as simple as piles. He was one of the unlucky ones. He was diagnosed with bowel cancer, but he was diagnosed in the really early stages. And I was filming with him yesterday. He is 9 years post-diagnosis. He is in the peak of health, and understandably really quite evangelical about sharing his story and wanting other people to know that actually if you come forward early, we can cure you. I'm totally with you. Let's change the dialogue.
Yeah, I think Phil's really put his finger on a very good point. Stop scaring everybody. We know it's not great, but stop scaring the crap out of us. Now, Dawn, can I ask the $1 million question? Because I know what our audience is like. They're going to say, oh yeah, I'd like to get to see my NHS doctor. And please don't be offended, I'm not talking about you. I'd like to get to see my NHS doctor. But the chances of that is a little bit like me being voted to be Pope. If you have something like blood in your poo or your wee or whatever it might be, or a lump, they will, just assure everybody, they will take it seriously and they're going to see you soon.
Absolutely, they will take it seriously. And that's the reason for letting the reception know, because they will expedite your appointment. If you come in with a new lump or blood from in your wee or your poo, one of those symptoms, they know that those are the things that we really want to see, and they will make sure that you get that appointment.
Yeah, it is it is horribly scary. I watched my dad go from it. I lost my wife to it. I know far too much about it, but excuse me. Speed is of the essence. Time is of the essence. Please, if there's one thing to come out, and we love the idea of the bus. Funny enough, it's something that my business partner and I, Howard, with MRS Men's Radio Station, have talked about for years. It's his dream to have a bus. It's just too difficult for us at the moment and financially impossible. But don't hesitate. I think that's the absolute underlying message. Please don't hesitate.
Please.
And actually, speaking of buses, of course, Dr. Dawn, is that you have experience of the benefit that a bus encouraging people to come and talk to you and some of your clinical colleagues can actually do. So
we did, yeah. We took the embarrassing bodies bus all around the country. The cancer busting, the NHS bus, is actually going to 5 different towns and cities in England next week, and those places have been specifically chosen because they have the lowest rates of early cancer diagnosis. So they'll be going to.
Is there I'm so sorry. Tell us where it is in a sec. I'm just wondering, is it a demographic? Is it economic? Is it physical location? What do you think it is?
I think it's all of the above. We are very aware that there are health inequalities, and what we're trying to do at this stage of the campaign, and I'm quite sure there will be other things going on going forwards, but we are trying to take the information to those locations, to those communities, so that it's easier for people to access the advice and the information. We've got a load of leaflets on that bus. I saw it being packed to the gunnels yesterday, and those leaflets are available in lots of different languages. So we're
Right.
really trying
That's
to make
important.
sure that we reach out to those people who perhaps might be a little more reticent. We're trying to address any of the barriers that may exist to coming forward and asking for help, so that we can get to more people quicker and therefore improve their outlook.
And in your experience, I know we've got to let you go, but in your experience, are there sections of community through ethnicity, I can never say the word, but you know what I mean, that are
Ethnicity.
more unlikely, thank you, more unlikely to come forward?
Yes.
Or not? Oh, there are.
We do know that there are some inequalities that are linked to ethnicity, and we need to address those. And that's one of the reasons why we are going to these locations. The bus will be full of staff, both from the NHS and from Cancer Research UK. And as I say, these leaflets are available. And it's not just for the individual, actually. I'm just going to add a little bit here. It's also, if you live with someone who has had a cough that's been lingering on for 3 weeks or more, or diarrhea that just isn't getting better. Everybody can eat something a bit dodgy and have a bit of diarrhea, or have a cough and a cold, but it should get better. If it's still persisting after 3 weeks, if you're living with somebody like that, please, you don't have to go to the bus. Pick up the phone, tell your receptionist, make that appointment, whether it's for you or somebody you care about.
I need to ask the quickest question. I know you've got to go. I'm really sorry, but just whilst this comes into my head, is that what is the difference between early and leaving it sort of longer than you should do? You say about wait 3 weeks to see how symptoms cure, but sort of between that 3 weeks and what next time frame, is it too late or is it risking it? If you see what I mean, are we talking months, years?
No. I think if you've had a symptom like this for over 3 weeks, you should be picking up the phone to see your doctor. And for the vast majority, your doctor's going to be able to reassure you. Now, of course, COVID is still here. And I know I
got it just before Christmas again.
Yes. And so I'm mindful that, of course, there may well be, a persistent cough from COVID. But actually, if your doctor can put your mind at rest on that front, then I think, so what I'm saying is unexplained symptoms, certainly blood in pee or poo, certainly any new lump, and unexplained fatigue, pain, whatever it may be, or lingering symptoms that just won't get better, or are possibly even getting worse over that sort of period of weeks, we want to know about.
Dawn, just before you go, where's the bus going? Because I interrupted
the bus
you.
is no, that's fine. The bus is going to Blackburn, Sunderland, Barnsley, Leicester, and London.
And London.
You are a living legend of the medical world. Thank you so much, Dr. Dawn Harper.
Bless you. Thank
You've just become my best friend.
You don't want that, Dawn.
Don't worry, that will change soon.
Trust me, I've known you for years. You really don't want that. Thank you so much.
Thank
Don't
you
be
so
a
much.
stranger anytime.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
She's great. I liked it before when you were tiny. Why have you changed your background?
Parents have often said that to me as well.
Yeah,
well, no, because we're talking about doctors, so I'm in the doctor's waiting room.
Oh, that's what you've done. I thought that was your new lounge.
Oh, I see. No, I don't think I'd be quite as garish to have red as a sofa.
I've got red sofa.
I know. That's why I say I wouldn't be as garish.
Shut your face. Right, let's go through loads of comment columns. Jesus, because I'm thinking about spreadsheets. Let's go to Houston in Texas. Good morning, y'all.
Aren't you funny? Why are you thinking about spreadsheets?
Well, I tell you why I think about spreadsheets, because I'm looking at business plans. We have been in and out of meetings all week. It's been the most knackering week. You know what it's like when you got a dog and you got to get back. You can't leave the dog too long. It's not fair. And sod's law, if you've got a meeting with somebody who's only in London or the UK briefly, you got to grab that meeting.
Well, quite. So, Sen says Happy Friday, my friends.
Oh, in French. No idea why, but
for some reason.
And to you, merci beaucoup. De rien, mon ami. Salut les copains. Right. Anyway, so not once, but twice this week. Precisely. Citroen, Renault, and Simcas.
Peugeot.
Peugeot. I can't think of the other name. I'll try and get this out if it kills me. So twice this week, I've had to go into town, have a meeting, rush back home, take the dog out for a walk, and then go back to town to virtually the same street where I was hours earlier.
Oh.
I've done that twice. My steps this week, and I don't mean 2, 3, 4, I don't mean that banned. I mean, my steps this week have been through the roof. I was like 13,000 on 2 days. It was extraordinary. So I'm absolutely cream cracking. Interesting. By the way, the other addition to that was, I know what could make Russ's life a little tougher when he's got a schedule that is making his eyes bleed. Let's have a bus strike. Not generally, just on the 2 buses I use. I had no
Bus strike, and also trains are doing wonders as well.
The underground's okay. The underground's okay, but the 2 buses that I use, specifically coming out of the same garage, I hate you, Butler, they were on strike. So it was a complete pandemonium trying to park the car, and it was one of those car parks you're allowed 4 hours. Then you got to bugger off for 2 hours. Then you can come back again. I was like a fiddler's elbow going in and out of town this week. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway.
I have to say, actually, a public declaration of thanks to my parents who have very kindly taken Cassie on whilst I'm not well, because I was very aware.
Jesus, what, you can't look after a tiny dog when you're not got a cough?
I was very aware that if I'm not supposed to be going out, it's not very fair to her because I can't take her for walks. It's also, if I didn't know how bad the chest infection was going to get, so far it's not too bad, but even so, I didn't want to wake up this morning and find I couldn't move out of bed.
Is Mum coming around with a little tub of Vic, rubbing it on your little chest? Can rub your little Vic on your little chest?
I hope not, because that would be very strange. But I could actually do with some Vicks, because I was inhaling some steam yesterday.
I got Vic candles, Vic inhaler, Vic drops, everything Vic. Facebook user, Simca, a favourite vehicle for radio rental. That's got to be Beanie. I'm guessing it's Beanie. I don't know why. It just says favorite view. Right. Let's deal with some of this thing. What have we got? This was nice. This is from Dave Sleep. Greetings, one and all. Looking forward to being in London next week. He's coming down from Scotland. So all being well, I'll be able to see him. Haven't been able to see him for ages. This is a very good point. The fear and anxiety is a major weapon cancer uses to keep you from getting the cancer dealt with.
It's so true. It's so true.
People are
terrified by the diagnosis, and this is what I was saying to Dr. Dawn before, is that I think that if we've got a narrative where everyone is being told cancer is this super scary thing that so many people will lose their lives to, even if that's not the truth, it's still going to be that people are going to get worked up about it because ignorance is bliss.
It's not great. It is horrible, but you can get through it. With my own wife, we got through it the first time. It's a joint effort, and it's traumatic. It's horrible. But we got through it the first time, and then we had 4 more years, and then we didn't get through it. And it spread like freaking wild. There was nothing they could do, and it was not because it was late. But what was interesting, how the NHS worked, and I rarely talk about this, but I will, just because it's one of the subjects for today, is that she was at the doctor and said she had this pain in her shoulder. Pain in the shoulder. Now, not if you've been playing tennis or you've fallen over. I'm not talking about that. Pain in the shoulder, if you've had cancer, could mean it's gone to your liver. I know. Sounds bizarre, but if you have
I thought you were going to say lymph nodes, but goodness.
No, liver. And they said, well, why don't you see the doctor? And she said, well, I've got this and that, the other to do this afternoon. Said, no, now. And we went straight there. And it had. And then it spread everywhere in like no time. And that was it. So, but just be aware. Anyway, I'm going to change the subject. From the 15th, which is in a couple of weeks' time, very exciting new addition to Men's radio station. Phil doesn't know about this. I had a meeting yesterday, and we
have I been fired?
The deal. No, don't look that happy.
You found my replacement.
No.
Oh,
no.
Damn. So near yet so far.
Who's gonna do the washing up as well as you do? Be honest.
Oh, this is true.
And get my car so nice and clean. No, we are adding a legal expert every Wednesday at 12:30. This is a podcast, but we're doing it specially. So it's an existing podcast called. I'm not going to go through all the details now. To answer your legal questions in simple, straightforward ways. So you know the way that Martin Lewis He said, Martin Collins, cut, Martin Collins, all the hits, all the hits, all the hits, all the hits. You know the way Martin Lewis deals with financial things, but breaks it down into bite-sized chunks so you understand what the hell's going on, right? This particular person does this in her podcast to huge effect. And so every Wednesday at 12:30, your legal questions will be, and when we're talking about legal stuff, it's stuff like divorce, wills, neighbor disputes, seeing your grandchildren, all the things that you want to know. And I am thrilled to be adding this to Men's Radio Station and expanding our remit, because the way that I see it is this. If you got a legal problem, you're such an idiot. What are you doing with a banana? What's like? What? You got to pull focus, you child. You child. Oh God! Don't encourage him. Don't look at this. Oh, just tuned in. You're not well, Phil. Russ, don't fire Phil. Why? Give me one bloody good reason, banana. Now, here we go. This is bowel cancer. Would you like to read this?
Bowel cancer screening is fantastic in Scotland, according to Facebook user. Every 2 years, they send you the sample bags, etc., and remind you by text, email as well, until you've sent it back. Annoying, but brilliant service. Well, yeah. That annoying service could save your life, ultimately.
Let's just go, good day, Aza Don Brown. Aza, I'm not getting your emails. Got to tell you, I don't know where they've gone, but they've gone. Maybe they've, I think Biden probably, hack them. And Julie Voice, this is interesting. Julie Voice out in Houston, Texas. My husband had the same. The pain in the shoulder. See, I wasn't making it up. The pain in the shoulder, liver cancer. So if you've learned one thing, and please don't think, oh, I've got a bit of an ache. You've got liver cancer. We're not saying that. We're not saying that. But just be aware. No, Phil's not well, Kimmy Lashmar. He's got a chest infection.
You should have more sympathy with me. I'm working from home today. I've taken an hour out of work to do this.
Work it. How are you going to work so hard? Hello, my name's Philip. Are you happy with your broadband? How are you going to do that? You keep coughing.
What? I don't work in a call centre.
You do now.
I work for Talk TV, not Talk. What are you talking about? Crying out loud.
Hey, guess who I saw yesterday? Guess who I had?
Chantel Rickards.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and?
It was great to see her in person.
Oh, you did? Oh, amazing. Yes, I was sort of a bit tongue in cheek, but no, actually, you did see her. Amazing.
I did see Chantal in person, although a little bit worrying. I don't know if I should take. She kept yawning.
I don't take it too personally, dear boy. You have that effect on people.
Yeah, I know. And everyone looks at me. Hey, Russ is here. It was lovely to see you, and you look great. And I have to say that the offices looked sensational. Wow.
I have to tell you as well, Russ, that I didn't know, thanks to you, I discovered just how comfortable a bowl of tomato soup could be last time we met for lunch. So...
Well, I'm sorry you're not well, Phil.
Thank you. It's quite all right. I don't blame you, Chantel, but I thank you for saying so.
He's going to slap the kishkas out of it. I can slap it out of it in the next 6 months. Elizabeth Green,
how are you, boys? How are you generally?
Well, when I'm not sounding like I smoke about 100 a day, which I wouldn't mind. It's just not true. It's nearer 50. But I'm just generally a bit rough around the edges, but other than that, spot on, thank you. And how about your good self?
By the fact, let's be honest here. It's not helped by the fact that young Phil, I was calling him young Phil because he's younger than two of my kids. Young Phil, of course, works the most insane hours. He works crazy hours, which has to cause havoc to your system. You know? We're being told off. Finally.
Shift workers don't live as long as people who have regular hours.
Tell me about it.
There you go. That's what it's about. So, yes.
My fate is sealed.
What has come? No, your fate isn't sealed. I think it's just a pathetic excuse so I don't go over to his parents' home.
I agree. But luckily, bit of R&R. It's time for this.
No.
Oh
That
yes,
is-
time for a bit of Screen Queen.
Well,
No.
actually, I meant to write to you, Phil, overnight to say, could you get the theme music for Crossroads up? So you might need that in about 3 or 4 minutes' time. So if you just happen to have it handy, have a
It's
look.
interesting you say that because are you going to talk about what's on ITVX at the moment?
Well, I think I might.
Yeah, okay, right. I'm just checking.
Just checking. Well, when you have the music ready, I think you're going to have to play it just because it will take us back to that wonderful place. So for those that don't know, ITVX has just brought out a 3-part series called Nolly. And Nolly was the nickname for an actress called Noel Gordon, who was the leading actress in a 5,000 episode run of a daytime soap
Jesus.
called Crossroads. So a lot of our overseas audience won't have a clue, but it was a really, really significant.
I think as the
series
world
of
turns, or
dramas.
all our sons, or something. Some of those things. It was huge.
I mean, it was huge. It used to get up to 15 million viewers. It was slightly eclipsed by Coronation Street. And interestingly, Granada Television, that made Coronation Street, refused to show Crossroads for about the first 6 years. They kept it off the screens in Lancashire and in Lancashire mainly, where Granada is based. Because they didn't want the competition. Eventually, everybody in the country was watching it except for the poor old Lancastrians. So Granada gave in, and it was then broadcast.
I love that. I didn't know that. That's brilliant that Granada refused to show it.
Oh,
That's
weird.
hilarious.
That is just plain weird.
Granada are a very, very big, ballsy company at that stage. And if they didn't want something, they simply didn't take it. So, but anyway, the screen doyenne, if you like, was this character, Meg Richardson, who ran the Crossroads Motel, which was supposed to be on the outskirts of Birmingham, of course, a big rival to Manchester and Liverpool in the Granada space. And it was just a soap opera, now known really for its wobbly sets, bad.
Let me show you how the sets went. You'd shut a door, the whole wall would. It's hilarious.
It was absolutely. I mean, it was wonderful and dreadful all at the same time. Here we go. This is it, taking everybody back to the 1970s. Takes me straight back.
Oh, I'm already there with the cheese fondue. Me after
Crossroads
eight.
Motel. How may I help you? Love it.
Whatever happened to that actress Joanne Good?
I know. What happened?
Whatever happened to that?
Who knows?
Good. No, never
Well, if
heard
you
from
come
her
across
again.
her, Russ, you must tell us.
No, I will. I certainly will if I'm ever on her shows regularly.
Oh, well, anyway, Crossroads I adored, if only for the crazy characters, Benny in the woolly hat, Miss Diane, and Shuey McPhee in the kitchen. I mean, I absolutely adored it. My mother hated me watching it as a child. In fact, a lot of people were very sort of sniffy about it. Harold Wilson's wife apparently was a great, great fan of it.
Mary Wilson.
Then you had the head of the IBA, the International Broadcasting Association, Lady Plowden, who described it as distressingly popular. So it divided people.
That's fantastic. What's the definition of being a snob? It was depressingly popular.
Exactly.
That's a little bit how I feel about The Only Way is Essex.
Oh, God. And Love Island, yes.
Anyway, here we are so many decades later, certainly after I first started watching it, after I used to get off the school bus in Dorset and run through the front door to watch it at the age of 10. They've now done a 3-part drama series with Helena Bonham Carter playing the formidable, slightly scary character of Meg Richardson, or as Noel Gordon, the actress, and talking about her and actually talking about how she got fired. So you get flashbacks to the beginning of it, but really the story starts where she's just pushed her luck one step too far and she's just about to get fired. But she's an incredibly popular character. 10,000 people turned up to the actor's wedding, to the wedding that was being created in the story. 10,000 viewers turned up to the cathedral in Birmingham to watch. I mean, this wasn't a real wedding. This was the wedding for the show, but 10,000 people turned up to it. So
Good
what you see in
God.
this lovely 3-part drama is her getting fired. And it's really the story about what happens from then on. It's absolutely fascinating. I've only watched 2 of the 3 episodes. Helena Bonham Carter is brilliant.
She's a great
It'll-
actress, isn't she?
Yeah, it'll definitely help if you remember the original Crossroads. But even if you don't, you sort of get it pretty quickly.
I'm going to have to watch
It's
it.
worth
I've
watching
seen
for Helena.
I've seen interviews with Noel Gordon. She was absolutely bloody terrifying.
Yeah, she
Very,
was
very scary.
Scary Mary.
Very,
She
very
definitely
scary.
was.
I mean, seriously, like, oh God, you wouldn't want to cross this woman. You wouldn't want to cross her at all. And
You wouldn't want to
huge
cross
gay-
roads, but
unless you're a chicken.
you're welcome.
We can keep this going. I was going a huge gay icon as well, wasn't she? Massive gay icon.
She
for
was.
reasons that I never worked out. But there we go.
And
So
indeed,
so the drama is that's what they call Nolly, is that right?
it's called Nolly. It's a 3-parter, 3 1-hours, and it's on ITVX, which is the website,
The
as it
porn
were,
channel for ITV.
the digital network of ITV, and that's where it is currently. So it'll
It was
probably
what was formerly known as ITV Hub, just in case people are
Yeah,
wondering.
because the
exactly,
word
ITV.
hub was too confusing, so they had to put the letter X in.
I know.
What the hell?
Still don't know why they did
The
it.
thing is, they would have brought in people like Chantal, given Chantal like a 6-month contract as a consultant. I think we need to change the word hub to X. Chantal, you're a genius. Well, that's what
if
they do. That's
only they'd
exactly what
asked
they
me.
do. That's exactly what they do. Ramsey says, funnily enough, I once had a contract to work in Birmingham for a couple of years at the Great Bar Hotel, which was a motel. So reminiscent of Crossroads. It was freaky when it dawned on me where I was staying. And this from Kimmy, Susan Hanson, I don't know these people, was 80
Susan
yesterday. Miss
Hanson.
Diane.
Miss Diane.
80. Blimey O'Reilly. Oh, good God. She was married to Carl Wayne of The Move.
Oh, was she? That I didn't know.
Blimey O'Reilly.
Okay.
Right.
So there you go. That's available now on ITVX. Or I have to say, it sometimes has little glitches, which causes me to rename it to ITV Excrement. But I have paid. I have paid
Throat's
for
got
the.
better suddenly. Have you noticed?
It really hasn't. I have paid for the premium set because I wanted to try what it was like advert free.
Great. It's fabulous.
It's okay. Look, I'd be perfectly honest with you. There are loads of programs on there. I watch that way more than I watch something like Netflix. I can relate to a lot more programs that are on ITVX than I can on Netflix or Prime or anything like that. However, it's frustrating. There are these tiny little glitches in it that just don't quite work as well as Netflix or the BBC iPlayer for me. Silly things like I could watch it on the iPad one moment and then go and watch it on the TV, and it wouldn't remember the place I was before, and I have to fast forward to it. It's just bits like that that are a bit frustrating. But by and large, great selection of programs.
Yeah, the programs are really very, very good.
Yeah,
they're really good.
Going back many years,
Poirot.
as well as BritBox, of course, because BritBox is also part owned by ITV. So there are a lot of the
I was going to say they have a lot of BritBox stuff on there, don't they? Actually, I have to say that there is there are certain episodes of Crossroads available to watch on ITVX as well. So if you wanted to give it a little bit of context for watching Nolly, you'll be able to see some of the original episodes.
Very good idea. Yeah, and then our overseas listeners and viewers will know what we're talking about. But it's worth watching anyway.
And they'll also realise how mad we are.
Probably. But telly was a very different animal 40 years ago. But what I think hasn't changed
on
is
your recommendation, on your recommendation, in Houston, Texas, finally watched Stonehouse yesterday, simply marvelous, and you recommended that last week.
I did. And good, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's again worth watching. ITV doing good drama at the moment. Really, really good.
I wonder who plays Joe Good's part. God, no.
Right, I'm going to take us all to the psychiatrist.
Oh, okay.
It's probably for the best, really.
Exactly. Well, only because I saw this come up in the TV listings. It said Harrison Ford doing his first television series, and I thought, hang on a second, I've got to watch this. It's on Apple TV. Russ, I know you haven't got Apple TV, but I'm sure somebody else is going to pick it up after Apple has thrown away the core. But it's really worth watching. It's called Shrinking. It's about 2 psychiatrists One who is suffering from grief because his wife has recently died. And the other one is Harrison Ford, who was just born grumpy. I mean, he just is a grumpy human being, and they're both psychiatrists. They're in the same practice. And Jason Segel plays the younger psychiatrist, and obviously Harrison Ford is the grumpy older psychiatrist. House?
I'm thinking House, the way that Hugh Laurie played the grumpy doctor.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Yes. House. Although Harrison Ford has got
I thought you were playing bingo for a second there. I wasn't quite sure what the hell you were talking about. I don't remember getting a dabber. What the hell are you on about? Crying out the house! Right. What the hell are you talking about, man? But anyway,
through this, please, God.
Anyway, right. This is a comedy.
Eyes down. Can you hear me at the back?
Phil, you and I'll struggle through.
2 salad Dodgers 88. That's what you have to say.
I've never heard that one before.
I never played that one. That's quite good. That
I just made it up. I thought, well, I can't say the F. I'm not allowed to say the F word anymore.
You sent Phil into paroxysms now.
Sorry, excuse me.
Oh God. Anyway, well, maybe Phil, you should not watch this until your coughing subsides, because it is supposed to be a comedy.
Yeah, no, I'm not supposed to laugh at all for the next couple of days. It shouldn't be too difficult.
You're in the right place.
Well, it's from the creators of Ted Lasso, which was one of my favorite programs of the last 2 or 3 years. Brett Goldstein, who's an actor and writer and producer, and his writing partner from Ted Lasso are behind this too. It's not laugh out loud funny in the same way that Ted Lasso is, but it's still got the same heart. And actually, I think it's rather beautifully done. It's beautifully written. It's rather gentle. But there are some lovely comedic moments. But the basic tenet of the program is that Jason, who is the younger psychiatrist, flips his lid and finally decides to stop asking his patients how they feel about everything and just says, for God's sake, your husband's a monster, just bloody well leave him. So he breaks all the rules of being a psychiatrist and starts telling his patients what to do. And that's really where the comedy comes in. And actually, it must be so frustrating being a psychiatrist, constantly trying to coax people to make their own decision, when actually it's far simpler just to tell them to make the right decision. Anyway, there we are. It's worth watching.
What was it like with your psychiatrist, Russ?
Well, they won't see me anymore.
Oh, right.
They've given up. Elizabeth Green says started it and enjoyed it. Ryan Park, who was a fantastic guest this week, a sensational guest, although he was far too handsome and far too eloquent, so he got on my bloody nerves straight away. I'm currently obsessed with them. But then
you're used to people like that on this program.
No, I'm not. I'm currently obsessed with The Last of Us. I can't get over this week's episode. It was a roller coaster. Ryan Park, if you haven't seen, I think Ryan's on Wednesday, try and catch it. I'll put it back up.
And anyone who has a name that sounds like a tourist attraction works for me.
Rob, where are you going this week? I'm going to Ryan Park. You see the ride? Oh, bloody long queue there. Right. Samaro says Citadel stars Richard Madden and I can't even pronounce this, Priyanka Chopra, and is apparently the most expensive series ever made.
Wow.
After Crossroads.
Yeah.
And Beanie says, Beanie and I've been trying to because everybody
everyone's a comedian.
Everyone who goes to a psychiatrist needs their head examined. Beanie and I have been trying to get together for weeks. It's quite impossible because the schedules just don't match up. Let me ask you a question. Why is it now that huge stars like Harrison Ford are doing TV? Because he's doing Yellowstone, the prequel, which is in, right, which was with Kevin Costner, fantastic series if you haven't seen it, and now he's doing this as well. So he's a busy bunny.
Well, he is, and actually, it's a really good question. I haven't actually thought about it. Television, in a way, it's the golden era of television in Hollywood, and there isn't that sort of thing about, oh, you're dumbing down by doing television if you've come from the movies, or that your career must be on the slide. Everybody knows that Harrison Ford has had the most dynamic film career. So he doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. And actually, he probably still wants to go to work, even in his late 70s, still wants the camaraderie and the team spirit, but can work pretty much from home because it'll be shot somewhere in the LA region. So it's probably quite a nice day job, actually, if you're somebody like Harrison Ford and you want to keep your hand in and you don't want to get on a plane and do press junkets all over the world and film in Bavaria and do all of that sort of stuff. It's probably a nice way to spend the later years of your career, to be honest.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that some of these actors have actually just grown into their faces, grown into who they are, because Kevin Costner has never been better. He's fantastic in Yellow. He's just terrific.
He's very good in Yellowstone, and he's still obviously a very good-looking man. So, I mean, there is one very distressing moment that there was for me, and I really shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway and then regret it. But there's a moment where Harrison Ford takes his shirt off in one of the episodes of Shrinking, the Apple TV series. And I was thinking, no, you just broke the spell, please. I really didn't want to see you without your shirt on. Anyway, there we are.
So is he, when you saw that, he was a bit more of a knackered old Ford?
Well, he's something like that.
Yes.
I just thought it was like one of those fabulous moments.
The thing is, when you see interviews with people like Chris Hemsworth and the rest of them, and you speak to and you see YouTube stuff about how they train to become Thor, or how they train to get into in those Marvel movies, or anything like that, or Hugh Jackman, their regime is so insanely intense.
Yeah.
And their diet, and their training, or the guy who did The Northman, which I didn't like particularly. I've forgotten the actor's name. He's a great actor. The thing about the Vikings.
Was it Chris Pine?
No.
Not Chris.
I can't remember who it is.
No.
And you realise, the moment it stops, they go back to looking kind of like normal. But when they're ripped, geez, but it's not normal. Just to tell you, Chantel, in case, next time someone takes their shirt off.
Think about Schwarzenegger and Stallone. Their careers were really built around their physique.
Totally.
So when it works, it works.
Yeah, it certainly does. And by the way, Stallone in his TV series is sensationally good.
Yeah.
The one where he plays the ex-mafia.
Tulsa.
What's it called?
It's called Tulsa. I'm not sure whether I've reviewed it for you or not yet, but I've only watched one episode, so I'm keeping that one up my sleeve.
Harrison Ford did say a few years ago that TV was giving him the opportunity to test himself as an actor.
Okay, well, there we are then.
Because there's more to acting than going, I want my family back. That's kind of it.
His comedy timing is very good. Anyway, Shrinking.
Funny that.
On Apple. Worth it. So now, Russ, I wanted to talk to you about a film I saw this week, only because I know that you saw the original film, and this is the follow-up to it.
Well, I'll leave it to
I knew this would be my fault. Okay, go on.
Well, I went to see the new Avatar,
which kindly
cost, I think,
invited
like $350 million to make, and it's already made over $2 billion at the box office.
Wow!
Jeez.
So clearly, I've still got some way to go to beat the original Avatar from 12 years ago, which made $2.9 billion at the box office. But even so, it's doing incredibly well. Now, Russ, I invited you to come to the screening of the second Avatar, and you turned me down.
I observe I didn't get an invite, but never mind, it's okay.
Because
it's all right, I can take this. It's all right.
You bring a bloody barbecue to the cinema. It's BAFTA screening. You got to be quiet, not you. Any more sausages up there? You're hopeless in the cinema.
What the hell are you talking about? I don't look to the back for sausages. What are you talking about?
Right. Avatar 2, the musical, or whatever.
Well, I went to see Avatar: The Way of Water, really with Russ's prejudice singing in my ears.
Stop it. It's just my view.
No.
The first one, honestly, the first one was terrific. It just went on a long time. It was a very, very long film.
No, well, this one is 3 hours and 19 minutes. So
it's the same kind of thing. Oh, my God. Right, wow.
Oh, God.
But what I wanted to say was that I enjoyed it. So, and clearly, if it's made over 2 billion at the box office, it's got detractors. Clearly, I mean, don't even look at the Guardian review because it was so scathing about it. But the reason I enjoyed it is the imagination, the visualization, and the imagination is completely extraordinary. The story is rubbish, like a lot of those Hollywood stories. They're totally rubbish, but they take you along, and you sort of go with the flow. Particularly in a film called The Way of Water. But actually,
very good.
It's
very good.
so interesting to look at, and you just think, what imagination created this picture I'm seeing on the screen in front of me? And that kept me going through all 3 hours and 19 minutes. So if you want something that's really visually exciting, but a bit sort of ploddy on the storyline, go and see it, because I've never seen anything like it.
Really?
I felt like I was on psychedelic drugs or something. It was incredibly impressive visually.
I have to say, as a standard rule of thumb, if The Guardian comes out hating something, I'll deliberately go and watch it because it's more than likely I'll love it. So,
well, go and have a look, Phil, and tell me what you think.
Speaking of hating,
yeah,
I by chance had Radio 4 on yesterday, yet again on one of my journeys in that town, and they were reviewing The Whale, which you and I are going to see in a couple of weeks.
We are.
They absolutely hated it. So when they do, they have the 3 critics, and they say, I don't know what the show's called, whatever it is, arts review on Radio 4 or something like that. Boy, oh boy, they went for its throat.
I
was like, I still want to see it, absolutely. But boy, they were not nice.
We'll do a co-review of that the week after next, when you and I will have seen it. We'll be, a couple of weeks further into the awards season. We're just about getting close to the end of awards season. By the end of February, beginning of March, we'll have the BAFTAs and the Oscars.
Tell everybody, it's something you mentioned en passant yesterday when we had a cup of coffee, and it was this: the number of films that you, as Mrs. BAFTA, are expected to watch. I'm not going to say the number because I was so shocked.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the number. I mean, I'm sure it's not a private piece of information. No. But we all get sent this year was 227 films. So quite a lot. And I worked out. Yeah, exactly. I worked out that if they were all 2-hour films, if they were all 2-hour films, it would have taken me 12 working weeks.
Yeah, fair enough.
With 8-9 hour days, 12 working weeks to actually view all of them from end to end.
Jeez.
Good Lord.
227 movies.
That's quite a lot. Quite a lot.
No wonder you're always able to review stuff for us. You must never leave the box.
No, what are you going to say? No, she just sits there. But she never left that room. I think she said an avatar yesterday. Probably wasn't her at all.
You wouldn't like to see how many screen hours I put through on my iPad each week, because it normally comes up and tells me how many screen hours I've done in a week, and it's a terrifying amount. But anyway, it's my great love. It's what I do.
That's probably a good thing.
Thank heavens for that.
Anyway,
I don't know how you fit in your day job at QuickFit, frankly. Anyway, there we are.
Right, now one more for the boys. Of course, it could be for the girls either. And I think you've got to see it just because it's a really, really well-made documentary, and it's totally from the heart. And it's on Netflix, and it's called Pamela, and there's only one Pamela. It's called Pamela, A Love Story. And it's Pamela Anderson talking about her life. And it's an absolutely beautiful documentary. Besides the fact that she is breathtakingly good looking. I don't think I'd ever really appreciated how beautiful she is.
She was
gorgeous. No, she's still a really good looking woman. She's 55. She's from Canada. She grew up in Vancouver Island. She's got in many ways a tragic background. She was abused as a child by a girl babysitter between the ages of 6 and 10. She was raped at the age of 12.
Blimey.
But she comes across as the most wonderful woman. And in a way, I just would love to have met her.
Well, she's not dead. You might
it's
still
not too
meet
late.
everybody.
She still can.
I'm
not in Hollywood any longer. It's not really my world.
Al Pacino wandering around her private office. For goodness sake, don't forget that.
Honestly, she comes across as an incredibly nice woman. and talks so openly about her life. And I was completely enchanted with this documentary that came out a couple of days ago on Netflix. And it's really worth watching. Even if you never saw Baywatch and you never heard about the sex tape with Tommy Lee, who she married after 4 days in Mexico.
She did.
You sort of got to see it because there are few people like that on the planet. And you want to, you really enjoy finding out stuff about a life that we would never normally know about.
So it's her chatting. So it's her talking.
Yeah,
basically.
She talks to the filmmakers and she says, what do you want to get out of this? And they go through all her archive stuff. And it's intercut with lots of really, really good archive. And she and Tommy Lee actually made lots of videos. They had the first video.
So we heard.
Yeah, exactly. Well, she tells the whole story about realizing that the safe had been taken from their house that contained the tapes that they had shot of each other having a bonk, and then realizing they'd been stolen. I mean, it's a great story. It really is a great story. So
who stole my virginity?
She was great. I mean, funnily enough, she was great in I liked her. There was a stupid movie she made, God knows when, called Barbed Wire. But she played it. Don't call me babe. It was just huge fun. I don't think she ever took herself terribly seriously or considered herself, Dame Judi Dench. But she always looked fantastic. She was fabulous in Baywatch. I mean, let's be honest. She was a sensation. When she arrived on the scene, absolute sensation.
The first time she ever got on a plane and left Canada was when she flew down to become the front page of Playboy magazine, the front cover of, and she had never been out of Canada at that stage.
Blimey.
She didn't know how America worked. She didn't know where Hollywood was. She didn't know anything at all. And she got on a plane and she had to sort of sneak through. She was turned down at two different airports because she said she was going in to be the Playboy of the month, front cover.
Yeah, of course she will, love, yeah.
Sneaking on a Greyhound bus and eventually got herself to Hollywood. But I mean, honestly, the way she tells the stories is just delightful. And it was a surprise. When I started watching it, I thought, oh, this is going to be dreadful. And I was really happily surprised. And she's got a great sense of humor. There's one line, I'm going to read it out to you, which she said, and I hope that my story inspires people to have a great effing time and not worry too much.
Precisely.
And I just thought, that's what I think.
Isn't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? And Ramsey's remembered this, which I hadn't remembered. She was also picked up and taken by Borat, if you recall, which I don't recall.
Was she? I've forgotten that.
Yeah, I completely forgot that. That bit.
Interesting
Borat, that her son was her son was the producer. So good for the family, keeping it going. Why not? Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's lived it and she's come out the other side and she's there to tell the tale. I think that's great. And there's nothing wrong with going through life having a good time. It's not against the law. You can enjoy yourself.
Well, you say that. I'm fairly sure Nicola Sturgeon believes there's something against it.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about people from this planet who just want to have a good time. Not from the planet miserable. Anyway, there we are. We got 2.5 minutes.
Any quick fire suggestions?
Very quick fire ones. A slightly above average drama with Octavia Spencer, who is an actress I really like, and Aaron Paul, who is the sort of hero in the first series. Started in 2019. We've just caught up to 20. The third series has just come out. Again, it's on Apple TV and it's called Truth Be Told, but it's a slightly better than average 8-parter with one story running across 8 parts. Octavia's a podcaster. She suddenly realizes that the person she helped put to jail 20 years ago is probably innocent. So she decides to prove his innocence.
Awkward.
And on a very silly,
we've all been there though.
A very silly note, two shows which are running for ages, both of which I absolutely love. One is the new series Father Brown. Why that was never mainstream, I don't know. They've changed the cast because some of them...
Hang on, there's a new series of it. Good Lord.
Yeah. Brand new series. I'm up to episode 2. I think it's a 10-parter or so. They're individuals. A lot of the cast has changed because a lot of them have left quite clearly. And it's just
But wait, is Mark Watts' shop still Father Brown?
He's there. No, he's Father Brown. Don't worry.
Okay, still
the main character is there, but the housekeeper's gone, the head policeman's gone, blah 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 blah. That's what happened. And the other one where the scripts, this series is rocking because when you get to series 12 of, and this is Death in Paradise, which is on the Friday.
What?
And I have to say, this series is rocking it.
Okay,
I'm amazed. It's really good scripts.
Death in Paradise, marvelous, and also don't forget, Call the Midwife is still back as well. So.
Oh yes, it is.
Indeed.
Chantal, thank you so much. As
always,
no
worries, guys. Get better soon, Phil.
Thank you so much. I should do my best.
Get well soon. Bye, Chantal.
Bye, Chantal.
So get well soon, Phil Dave. Although you look very sort of arty with your, your rather marvelous scarf there. And just to
I thought that he gave a marvelous performance. Don't you think? It was splendid.
Absolutely marvelous. Father Brown, they're just pleasant things to watch in a difficult world. I'll be back on Monday. Phil will be with us. God willing. Bye bye.